This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
On your feet, boy. I mean now.
Got a name, boy?
Virgil Tibbs.
Virgil.
Where you come from?
There ain't no trains this time of morning.
I could have had you shot.
Skulls caved in. Could have been a hitchhiker.
Okay, I got him.
Where's my husband?
I thought I told you to get the hell out of here.
You aren't taking me anywhere, you dig?
You gonna get yourself killed.
I'm a police officer.
Look, they pay you $162.39 a week just to look at bodies. Why can't you look at this one?
Why can't you look at it for yourself?
I do not want that Negro officer taken off this case.
I'll need a few things, such as ammonium hydrosulfide, benzidine, superoxide of hydrogen, copper powder, distilled water, calipers, and some toothpicks.
Why won't anybody here tell me what's happened to him?
Are you sure you're pregnant?
Yes, I am pregnant.
I can pull that fat cat down.
I'm afraid you're a little late, Virgil. We already got the guilty man.
May I examine this person?
Yeah, you can look at him. Come on, let him look.
He's left-handed, isn't he?
What's that make him?
Innocent.
I got the motive, which is money, and the body, which is dead.
You're holding the wrong man.
Look in her purse. She's got $100 to pay for an abortion.
In the heat of the night, seems like a cold sweat creeping across my brow.
Got a name, boy?
Virgil Tibbs.
Virgil.
Where you come from?
Ain't no trains this time of morning.
I could have had you shot.
But don't you push me, boy!
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
In the heat of the night, Virgil Tibbs got the killer. In his new movie, he's not sure he wants to. Sidney Poitier, Martin Landau, in
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
Anything?
She's been strangled, too. It'll take the autopsy.
Go back. Show me the neck. Couldn't be shorter if he bit him.
Maybe you ought to pass this one.
You killed the wrong man.
All I want is a clean case.
Belongs to Logan Sharp.
Give us this, our first victory.
Virgil.
So what now?
And you're gonna have to book him or clear him fast.
Let me go. You're treating him like a fish on a hook.
Sit tight. Logan, we want your permission to take these clothes to the lab and check them for blood spots. It seems to match.
For the last couple of months, I've been sleeping with her.
He's a very friendly landlord.
He's on the bridge, Lieutenant. Shall we pick him up?
You can't solve that murder. Why don't you stay home and control your son?
the last time Virgil Tibbs had a day like this was in the heat of the night. Sidney Poitier, Martin Landau, in They Call Me Mr. Tibbs.
The organization may or may not know who you are, but they damn well know who I am. And if I'm going to take them on, plus the department too, I don't want to be depending on 6 dead amateurs. was tortured by an expert who enjoyed his work.
Where were you? Where were you when this guy fell in?
You have the guts to tell the truth. There's something going on here, and you're not letting us in on it.
Cool it, Jessup.
Well, if I'm being accused of a crime, I'm entitled to a lawyer in a trial.
In the meantime, you're suspended.
They must have spotted one of your pigs. From now on, we do it my way.
Lieutenant, Captain Stacy wants to see you.
So here we are for a brief look at the In the Heat of the Night movie trilogy. Sidney Poitier is everybody's favorite actor. Just had to talking about an award-winning original film from, again, the late 60s and 67, and then which was followed by They Call Me Mr. Tibbs in 1970. And then by the third film, The Organization. And I just was always seeing parts of these films, you know, every day. I knew about the show growing up, but yeah, in recent years, when I look at them, it's like, what an underrated movie trilogy. And yeah, I mean, I think the reason many people remember the movie and why the TV show, the same name, also complements it is it was just the best at bringing out, giving a voice to hardworking black inspectors. Poitier just was already just a beyond just gifted individual, and this launched his career. I think what was really cool was seeing how just illustrating Mississippi and what a backward state it was. And they were able to also, shoot in parts of Tennessee as well as Illinois, and because it also helped that actor Sidney Poitier put his foot down and said, "I will not shoot south of the Mason-Dixon line," because me and Harry Belafonte, we got stalked by some Klansmen. And I'm sure many have heard the trivia on how the film crew was very reliable, and Norman Jewison, was another guy who went on to do so many just crowd-pleasing actors. We will miss you, dude. Rest in peace. So many social and political topics, everything from Rollerball to Moonstruck to The Hurricane to And Justice for All and The Cincinnati Kid and even Jesus Christ Superstar. And Rod Steiger, just unrecognizable as Chief Gillespie. And many critics in more recent years, especially on some of the blog sites, have noted how it kind of, without this, you definitely don't get, more subgenres of the buddy genre of movies that come down the line. Most people are going to just instantly go to, Beverly Hills Cop or Lethal Weapon, but people forget probably the biggest direct descendant of this would have to be Walter Hill's 48 Hours movies with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. Same kind of deal. Although with that, you could argue, you got a racist cop with his heart in the right place, working with an ex-con of another color. And this was, such an agreeable movie. Just about everybody has seen it. And for those who haven't, though, do check it out. Watch it with your grandparents. Watch it with your folks who may have somehow not seen it or heard of it, but it's been a minute. And then check out the show. The show was a perfect, just rare glimpse of you can do the same concept with just as gifted actors. And it's so ironic, though, how George C. Scott was supposed to play Chief Gillespie. That's right, Patton. He was too busy filming the film Flim Flam Man at the time, but instead, he ended up coincidentally appearing as a judge on a two-parter of one of the final season episodes of the show of the same name. So, if I had to ask which is better, that's a tough one. They both got cultural relevance, and it's not just that, hey, the movie brings in, a racism-centric, premise, and a cop teams up with a sheriff and they decide to track down, some foul play, a racial murder. No, it's more than that. It also was just, at the end of the movie, they understand each other and it felt earned. It didn't feel like we just want the Hollywood ending. And also, a lot of stuff came out of this movie. As a result, Cruise became more socially conscious as well. One thing that is unfortunately not talked about enough, people know it, but we don't talk about it enough because it's just unpleasant, but we have to, because otherwise we will forget about it. And it's the lighting of black actors at that time with the technology we had back then on film. Our black actor happens to be the lead, so we got to make him look good. So this was one of the first major Hollywood films to consider the lighting needs. Ironically, though, the film was also, it's set in Sparta, Mississippi. It was coincidentally filmed in a town in Illinois called Sparta. It's just man, so wild. But yeah, it won 5 Oscars, and including Best Picture, Adapted Screenplay, and Lead Actor for Rod Steiger. So let's see. Did it win? Surely he had to have won something. Let's see. But it was also cool because the black police detective, Virgil Tibbs, is from Philadelphia. So again, it did have some of that cross-country kind of attitude. And in 2002, it did get registered by the National Film Registry for cultural preservation, as well as AFI movie lists, one of the most important American movies of the 1960s. But yeah, let's look and see what it won. But yeah, Quincy Jones did the soundtrack. He would return and also produce the TV show of the same name. So there you go. So Norman Jewison gets a nomination for Best Director. And it wins Best Sound, Best Film Editing, nomination for Best Sound Effects. It wins Best Screenplay based on material from another medium. That's right, it was based on a book, and I have heard that the book is not terribly interesting, especially because the scene that everyone remembers is Tibbs, slaps a suspect, and that is not in the novel. So Gillespie is very imperfect in the movie. He is obviously changed up for the show. It helps that Carol O'Connor at that point was tired, best known for playing Archie Bunker on All in the Family. Wanted a realistic show, but he also did not want to play a bigot again. So good moment. I do find it interesting, though, that Akira Kurosawa, that's right, the Seven Samurai Rashomon master, has cited this American movie as one of his favorite films. And so that's a shame. Even though Poitier gets all kinds of other nominations, Steiger also wins. I'm not seeing any awards for Poitier, which is a shame, but hey, it did more good, and I can't say it did any bad, because the white man is not the savior, and he's learning, and the black characters, it's just such a progressive movie, and at the same time, it doesn't feel like staged or like something that we just made up to make ourselves feel better. It's like, nope, nothing. It's not erasing any of the unpleasant past. It's just bringing the past to light, and just like any good sci-fi or horror movie, it knows how to bring in commentary while bringing in a fictional, escapism, and it works as a procedural, it works as a mystery, it works as a compelling drama. And the sequels, the organization, this is where it is wild seeing a trilogy of movies with, inconsistent ratings. They do the first movie, it's like a mature, PG rating, be PG-13 nowadays. And then you get the Mr. Tibbs, where he gets to say the line again. And it's, again, more of a just mystery, where now Tibbs is working for the San Francisco Police Department. Apparently, there are other novels of this where he's working with the Pasadena police, but that's okay. But I like how they made him a lieutenant, and he's figuring out what rich businessman killed a prostitute. Good villainous role from Martin Landau. It once again has Quincy Jones's hip yet energetic score, as well as Hal Roach, director Gordon Douglas, who was a freelancer for a while. He's been working forever. And it gets an R rating just only because the prostitute is naked in the first scene, but nothing over graphic. Just blink and a miss. Another questionable role for Anthony Zerbe, who many will know from the Omega Man and Matrix movies. And it was one of those, kind of like the Shaft movies. It gets into that, while it's not an exploitation film by any means, it is good at just having just hard-boiled mystery, just pulp fiction, just kind of just, it could easily be a pulp novel. So MGM, has these out, and then does the third one, which is the organization, where basically he's trying to go after some urban revolutionaries who have committed various crimes, and this is a who's who of actors. By this point, Poitier is basically, his Lieutenant Tibbs is basically like Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, minus, again, the politically incorrectness, but it's that same kind of tone of just a man on the edge, willing to do whatever it takes. He's not gonna frame anybody. He's not gonna, but it's a good, I think these movies are very underrated in that they never get into that. I mean, don't get me wrong. You'll like it if you like utter gritty shit like, Death Wish or Dirty Harry, but it's also not about, I'm going to execute people and what have you. And it's a shame that it took so long for either of these sequels, though, to come to Blu-ray. But in 2015, Kino Lorber restored them. And I think that's neat, because it took forever for them to come to digital. They were often just only... You'd see them on MGM HD channels all the time, which is definitely where I saw some of them, as well as Stars, because they had a lot of urban and black themed cinema. But they would have probably been only on VHS and not on DVD back in the early days of the 2000s. But yeah, this sequel is a who's who of like people. You have Max Gell from Barney Miller. You have Ross Hagen and Raul Julia as some of the revolutionaries. That's right. So Ross Hagen is just one of those, you've seen him in a lot of exploitation and biker movies, some that have been seen on Mystery Science Theater. Raul Julia, do I need to say it? Come on. Addams Family, Tequila Sunrise, just dynamite actor who left us way too soon. But what I had no idea prior to this is there are so many other connections. There are Daniel J. Travante, who later is the, captain on Hill Street Blues, is the sergeant in this, as well as Charles H. Gray, who was one of the other cops on that show, gets to be one of the watchmen in the Revolutionary. So some fun connections there. I'm sure they got stories. But this is, again, just another movie that just goes by fast. And when you see some of the subway type chase scenes, you can't help but wonder if some of the technical people on this movie just later worked on Die Hard with a Vengeance. The same kind of just tracking shots that you see in other later blockbuster movies in the 80s and 90s. And but I love, though, how it sets it up. It's like there was a heist, but nothing was stolen. So it's just an even... And then finding out that there's some drug dealing places at various companies. It's not just at the docks or anymore. And plenty of extortion by the rival gangs. Again, Poitier carries the movie, but the movie has plenty of energy, and I would reckon is pretty underrated. It gets the job done, but you don't always see people just saying, you gotta go out and see it. It's not a cash grab. It's not unpleasant. It's not in dire need of any rewrites. It's doing exactly what you would want something from this to do. And cool evolution for the character. Even when the character doesn't have enough quiet moments to himself, he's still shown to be just a smart detective who you would want to hang out with. And again, the first movie was just a groundbreaking drama, and so the sequel is just wisely said, hey, let's just show how cool this detective is while showing how he handles just the most unusual crimes of, post-70s era, and do something with the character instead of just, we gotta make this happen, and but yeah, I had fun just going for these real briefly, but I think what we all realized from Poitier is just at the end of the day, the reason he was a legend is not just from how he got into, being a diplomat, being in the theater, and being one of the first well-known, African-American actors. It's more than that. It's just he brought this Virgil Tibbs character to life so well, and it was bigger than the books it was on, and it's just interesting how just for a character of this kind to just it's so rare that we get that kind of intelligence now. If we show the character being gritty, we just got to play more and around with, is he going to break the law to get the bad guy, or does he got to have a gambling or sex or drinking problem? It's like, no, and at the same time we give him a win after being through a maze, and it's not just that the actor makes the character likable. It's not just that just the Walter Murch company just definitely wanted to just have just some very flavorful detective fare for MGM to distribute, and I think they did a hell of a job with it. And it helps that the music is as much a character in these as well, and all the other characters that appear, like Ed Asner and the second movie, it's like they are all painting a bigger picture. I like how we, especially with movie 2, we see a little more of Tibbs's family. Just showing also just the underbelly of unusual crimes like this, and just how petty stuff like this, when you finally expose it, you just have to put so many things in perspective on, you can't right the wrong, but you can give a voice to the victim, and you can expose the greater evil, and that alone is inspiring and just beyond cinematic. And this is the kind of movie that, the sequels can be just labeled as just straightforward action mystery movies, but I still think they need more applause for doing something with that character of an award-winning movie that, again, just illustrates, wrongs in society and that we're still encountering today. And I also got to just tip my hat when, if someone tried to do something like this now, they would they would probably overthink something or just have something in there that's like, hey, man, that's not how people talk. That's not how people act. That's not, no. I'm tired of hearing that when people just want to keep, messing with something to where it's like, you just don't get it. And kudos to them. The right crowd with each movie just kept doing their best with each installment. I'd really dig it. And I think many will too for those. And I wish more podcasts would even cover these movies. It seems like for the most part, they'll just cover the original. They need to cover all 3 of these. So thank you all for listening and hope you enjoy our reviews. We're always down to do some deep cinematic cuts. And this was one of them. Check out the TV show as well. And as well as our earlier review on that show and why it was 7 seasons of addicting, just well-paced and gritty realism.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small-town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, give it up, Jimmy, you gotta sink this putt to win. On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and foodie debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in, it's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up